Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Much appreciated that you could all make it tonight. We've got a number of apologies for this evening. Unfortunately, we've got Leanne Timms can't make it, Alex Irvine, John Tate, Russell Dean. Do we have any other apologies? Sorry? Piers Harricks. P-I-E-R-Z. Come and sit down, guys.
Dylan's leaving. He had surgery on his neck, and he's not.
Just before he goes, I'd just like to introduce you, Dylan, new member, new car owner, new 6 Series owner. So he ticks a lot of boxes. I think. Yeah, I think he's just achieved a lot of instant friends. So welcome, very, very welcome to the club. Very welcome to the 6 Series guys. Please make yourselves known to them and enjoy your car. Okay, it's been a very, very, very long time between drinks, and our last meeting was back in February. We tried a meeting in March, but that didn't happen, so we did Facebook Live, which was a bit of a fizzer, but anyway, it was nice to be able to talk at you, dare I say. I seem to be doing that a lot. Anyway, there were minutes to that meeting which have been circulated. It has been quite a while. The committee has been active, and we have been staying on top of things. We have been meeting and discussing what's been going on and trying to plan ahead as we could. Speaking of committee, good evening.
Good evening all.
Yes, so I'd like to propose that the minutes that we sent out via email a couple of days ago be accepted. Would anyone like to? Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Well, they were the ones. Scotty Weir. There's one other new member that actually apologises that can't be here tonight. His name's Andrew Hall. Andrew's an interesting guy. He's good friend of Greg Timms. Andrew's had for a long time Brock Commodore and Holden Dealer Team Commodore, and some years ago he had that for 21 years. It was a very special car, but he sold that and bought a Porsche, a 1976 Porsche that's been backdated to a 73 RSR Tribute, so left-hand drive, and he's been taking that out to a lot of cars and coffees and things. He loves it and is having a good time. But he recently bought a lovely little E30 out of Melbourne. Really nice condition, 325i, and he's just had it registered and just starting to get into it. So he's really keen to get involved, learn a lot about the car, and have some fun. I think he's the sort of guy that really, really enjoys his cars and coffees, and he's a passionate guy about that. So in absentia, I'm almost positive that Andrew is watching tonight, Facebook Live. I hope so, but welcome aboard. Thank you. Are there any other new members here this evening? Anyone new? Anyone new? No? Okay. As you're probably aware, I just want to make sure that you're all aware that we are under stage 3 restrictions at the moment. So that means that we can gather with up to 100 people, family and friends, in this sort of situation. When I publish the minutes of this meeting, there's a lot of links to a lot of this stuff are available for you to read if you so desire. So that's in there. Business arising from the previous minutes. One of the problems we've had recently is our trailer got a lot of water damage in it, and a lot of the banners and the tent got damaged. So we've put an insurance claim in. That's paid. We've just got to now replace those things. So that's all underway, and we're going to just modify that trailer to make it a little bit easier to store things in. So Vix and Dennis are going to look after that. So unfortunately, John Tate's not here tonight, our treasurer. So just briefly go through some finances. things are looking pretty good with the club. Unfortunately, we haven't been spending much because there's been no events and that sort of thing that we can put back into the club. So we're currently standing at about $51,000, and that's absolutely fantastic. So, and most of the expenses for 2020 are behind us. So we do intend to try and put back into the club social events and things like that. We're going to invite people along at no charge for members. We're going to try and come up with a gala event at the end of the year to replace the one that's obviously going to fall off the edge that we normally have. But we'll keep you in the loop as far as planning of that sort of thing's concerned. With the treasurer in mind, we are going to be looking for a new treasurer. John Tate will be standing down this year from both his role as treasurer and drive coordinator. So I ask you all to put your thinking caps on to see if you might know someone who might be interested in stepping up and helping us out. It's become a lot easier over the last few years with the systems that we've put in place. We've got quite a complex system that administers a website called Wild Apricot, and it's got lots and lots of tracking and finance and that sort of thing. So a reconciliation has been made a lot easier, and the job's been made a lot less onerous than it was in the past. And we do have a bookkeeper on board as well that we pay to do some of the hard yards as well. But we really need someone involved in the club to drive that finance role and just be on top of it and monitor payments and that sort of stuff. Because Dennis and I spend money and John tells us not to. But anyway.
He hasn't told me because I forgot to put the claim in.
There you go. Okay, so just moving on with secretarial. Leanne's not here tonight. Again, one of the problems that we faced with the COVID situation, with everything put on hold, we haven't been able to schedule or hold an AGM. Now, the AGM normally has to be held before the end of the financial year. Obviously, because of the whole COVID thing, we couldn't meet, and it just didn't seem right to try and do an online thing. So we've put it off. The Office of Fair Trading, who administers the club organisations, has given all clubs a waiver till the end of the year to hold an AGM. So the committee is just monitoring how things are going, the lead time we need to put together an AGM, and when we might hold that. So we aren't going to commit at the moment as to when that might happen and how we might do that. So if you can just stay tuned. So, but as I said, we will be in need of a new treasurer and drive coordinator. The OFT has also deferred our payment that is due for the clubs as well. So that can be held off until we actually hold the AGM. Social report, Leanne Timms again. Now we're starting to do things. We're looking at movie nights again. It's been fantastic. Obviously, the Brock movie is a big thing. Some of our new member, Andrew Hall, I hope you're in there, has seen that, loved it. Obviously, being a Brock Commodore man, it brought tears to his eyes, so that's wonderful. And I will put my hand up and say that Sue's company, the Post Lounge, were involved in the post-production of that movie. So it's fantastic to see that there's a bit of local input into it, and we can lay claim to it. It's a fantastic thing. So we're going to put together a movie night and possibly use that as the movie. We're also trying to come up with an idea for the presentation dinner and probably combine that with the Christmas party this year. We also have deferred the show and shine because, again, everything's been cancelled, everything's been put on hold. So, again, we've got to just wait and see what happens as to when we can do these things and put them on. But the response so far from people getting out and doing things has been fantastic. The few events that we've had have been oversubscribed, and people really just want to get out and do things again, which is absolutely fantastic. We're going to look at also barbecues in the park and drive days and things. And in fact, I've got a drive day in the planning on the 2nd of August, an observation run, and it's hosted by the M Register, of which I am the coordinator, but I haven't been doing much. But anyway, I'm taking the load off John Tate and setting an observation run. So it'll be a silly, watch this thing, or, rip a minty paper, do things, and we'll finish up at Lake Sampson Vale, McGavin View Park, where we will host a barbecue for the club as well. That'll be on the 2nd of August. We're also open to suggestions. Please don't hesitate. If you've got an idea, got a location, see something, know a place that needs some support, or a coffee shop or a restaurant or cars and coffee or something, please just shout out. Let us know, and we'll see what we can do.
Excuse me, Garrett. On that, the Cars and Coffee at Colleges Crossing is on this Sunday.
Right.
Scotty Knack's little show.
Yes. Yep. Colleges Crossing this Sunday. Also, from memory, there's also a Cars and Coffee at Coolum tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock. Right. Okay. So that is on. There was talk about that happening at the. There was a German bakehouse or something that I read.
It's all being posted on the 6 series register.
Okay. If you're interested, if you know anyone that wants to get up very early in the morning, darling. No. Okay. Speak to John. Membership officer John Fairman, step up and win.
That's me.
Come over here so we can see you in the camera. Come over with me, buddy.
That'll be a treat for everybody.
Ah, come on.
Membership.
Yeah.
Watch it. You'll be out. Membership is down slightly from. Well, it's not actually down. Do I have to get?
No, it's okay. We've got another one up there.
Yeah. Watch me on that one. Membership is slightly down from where we were.
So can you just
a tad over 400. We're now down to 361, and that's pretty much a sign of the times, with people not renewing because there's not been much happening. And we might have 362 now. Yeah. So 362 is still a pretty good number from where we took over. We're still up. There's been lots of turnover, lots of new members come on board. Some of the older crew have waned off a little bit because they haven't had anything to do. There hasn't been runs, there hasn't been shows, there hasn't been dinners. Yeah, so there'll be things starting to wind up now. So there'll be lots more to see, lots more to do, places to go, people to see.
It's great, and just as a matter of interest, we're getting lots and lots of people on the Facebook, on social media. Lots of people are asking to join, lots of people are asking for cars and parts, all that sort of stuff. So people are still active, it's just getting them involved. The traditional sort of car club is quite different now to what it used to be. But to try and encourage those people to actually come on board and come to events and do that sort of thing, we're still trying to do that. But
speaking about cars and parts, there is, I don't know whether it hasn't been well publicised, but there is a BMWCQ cars and parts for sale page, and it only has cars and parts. There's no social media, there's no events, there's no nothing. Cars and parts only. So if you want to look for something, go, join it up, have a look. Post your parts, post your cars. It's specifically for BMWCQ club members. So, yeah, it's been going about 6 months and it's starting to build momentum.
Yes.
Yeah. So, interesting.
We're constantly getting people ringing up and saying, can we sell your car, our car? Can we sell our car? Can we find parts? So we're putting them onto that. Also, with the e-magazine, there's a classified section in there where we're doing that sort of thing. So there's a lot of activity in the background that people are responding to, and it's working out really well.
I'm done.
Done? Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Time on their hands to spend on Facebook and social media.
Sorry, say again?
They've got all this extra time on their hands while they're at home to spend on
Oh,
social
absolutely. Drive coordinator report, John Tate. Scenic Rim run on the 28th of June from Puma at Ipswich out to Lake Moogara, then down to Boona. 150 kilometres, a couple of hours, 33 cars, 55 people. So it was great. It was a little bit sad not to be able to get together at the end of the event and have a lunch together and But it was a great drive. It was fantastic to get out and about, and
Except that dirt road.
yeah, there was a bit of dirt road that made my bottom lip quiver, but you know, that's it. And
Just as we got there.
it was interesting because I wasn't aware John Phoenix lives out there somewhere, and he was at a service station when we drove past.
I called in to see them.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay, right, yes. Okay, and as I said before, we do need a new drive coordinator as well, because John Tate's been looking after that role.
While we're talking about that,
Yes.
as I suppose you may know, I'm the club captain, the membership officer, and the registers coordinator. 3 hats. I'm actually not going to stand for those positions this year. I'm going to stand aside and allow other people to come along and fill those positions if they want to. However, I will take them up and continue on if people don't fill them. So don't think anybody's standing in your way. If you want to be a part of the club, get in there, come on board.
It's that sort of thing. If people have time and the interest and the inclination to do it, you know, we don't want to stand in people's way. So, you know, please, it's about the club, it's about the membership. So if you have some ideas, please come and help. It'd be absolutely fantastic. Register report. I've done my homework, John.
No, yeah, nothing to
I've
report,
done.
mate.
I've done my homework.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so I'm setting a run for ostensibly for the M register, but it's an all of club event. But you know, we'll just gather the M's together and lead them off, and then everyone else can come along. It's going to be an observation run on Sunday, the 2nd of August, leaving from the Gap Village out sort of through Mount Nebo, Mount Glorious. Yes. So anyway, that'll be an observation run for a little bit of silliness. Okay, sponsorship and advertising. Russell Dean from Hype Creation, who looks after our website, and I have been spending a bit of time trying to come up with ideas with sponsorship. And what we're going to do is we're renewing the sponsors page on the website, and what we're going to do is we're going to put people's logos and businesses on that page free of charge for people who support the club. So what we're trying to do is get traffic onto that website and acknowledge people who do help us and support us, and hopefully that might encourage them to become paid sponsors and paid advertisers. But if we can get people on there, you know, there's always stories of how people go out of their way to help us out, you know, mechanical businesses, tyre businesses, good businesses. So it's getting word out there and just promoting and supporting people who support us. So we're, if anyone has any contacts like that and would like to have those people put up on the website, because we actively try and not let people advertise on our Facebook page, because it's about communication really, not really for advertising, but we want to be able to sell sponsorship to our Facebook page as well. So we want to value add to those people who want to support us financially. But you know, I don't think it's about business, but it's about communication, it's about support, and it's about respecting people who help us. So again, come to me, talk to me if you've got any ideas about people wanting to spend some money or get the word out. Editor's report, me again. Club Queensland website, we've now got all the e-magazines that I've been producing, the Beamer monthlies, are now all up on the club website under the magazine header. So you can go on that page and review any of those magazines, and I encourage you to do that because there's lots of links in those magazines to various BMW stories, both nationally and internationally. I'm trying to mix things up, especially during the COVID time where there wasn't much activity happening here. I was trying to find interesting articles, latest articles from around the world, and you'll find those on those little magazines. So again, getting faces to those magazines, it'll be really great because we do have sponsors and advertisers on those magazines. So I'd love to put back and support those guys. Again, we've got classified ads in those monthly e-newsletters. So again, contact me, write me a car sales ad, send me photos, and we'll try and sell your gear for you. Also, again, articles. If anyone's got any information they'd like to spread to the club, write an article about things they're doing. I know Dominic's, doing lots of stuff, and we featured him last year when he came and talked to the club and bought his car, and I'm sure there's lots of other activities that you're doing. We'd love to catch up on. But again, if anyone else has got anything they would like to put in the magazine, would like to put in the magazine, and if you go to events and you take some photos, please pass them on to me. I'm sort of collating and putting lots of photos on the website so people can download and have a look at them. Now, Dennis, briefly, Skid Pan Lakeside and upcoming for you.
Yeah, so we've had a few things. The first thing we managed to kick off with was a skid pan session with Joel at Mount Cotton, just to fit into the COVID restrictions at that stage, because at that stage it was still 20. So we actually split it into two groups in the morning, so there was two hour sessions, wasn't it, Joel? With 7 to per group, and it went really well. Everybody enjoyed it. We had a bunch of...
Sorry, can you introduce Joel?
Yeah. Sorry, for those that don't know, it's Joel Neilsen from Safe Drive. He's going to talk to us a bit later about some of the things they're doing. But Joel's the one that we always use when we do our skid pan sessions at Mount Cotton. He either provides himself or one of his instructors when we do, and has always looked after us well. So welcome, Joel. Yeah, we ended up with two sessions. We had quite a lot of novices there. Unfortunately, with the restrictions, we couldn't put Joel in the car with anybody. We couldn't do any passengers. But I think everybody got the hang of it, and everybody had a ball as usual. I must admit, I had
the
great
Facebook
fun.
one.
And Gary stuck the GoPro on the front of the van. I don't know if everybody's seen it or not, but I chased somebody around in the van with a GoPro on the front. That was an interesting thing to do. I've never done that. It was great fun. Oh yeah, it was constantly, but it was good fun. So anyway, the skid pan went well. Followed it up with the track day at Lakeside. When was it? Whatever it was, last week or whatever.
Okay, thank you.
The day went absolutely fantastic. Again, we split into two sessions, a morning and an afternoon session with 19 maximum. It started out entry started out slow, and to the point that we didn't have enough to do a full day. So the morning was bigger. I talked to a few people that were booked into the afternoon to move up to the morning, and then announced they'd cancelled the afternoon, and then got inundated with people saying, "Why have you cancelled it? I want to go." Basically, if you want to participate in a motorsport event, they cost a lot of money. That event was $7,000 for a day, for a Friday at Lakeside. If we do it on a Saturday, it's double. So they cost a lot of money. We've got to make sure we get the money in, and the only way we can do that, and that's addressed to everybody out there, is get the entries in so we know that people are interested. Otherwise, we've got to start curtailing events. Anyway, the day went fantastically. In the end, we put the afternoon back. It was a full house in the afternoon and only two short in the morning, and the day was perfect. We made a decision at the briefing that we'd run 15-minute sessions. There was two groups in the morning, two groups in the afternoon, and there were 15 minutes in, 15 minutes out, and it went perfectly. And everybody loves that format. So probably in the future, we probably won't do 15-minute groups when we go back to four groups, not two, but we'll probably run 10 minute. So everybody seems to be comfortable with that. So you'll get every 40 minutes, you'll get another run. We had 8 novices there, first time out, that were wrapped, did everything right, listened to what they were told, didn't try and break lap records on the first time out. And every one of those novices had an M car, which was something also fantastic. It was the first time that we've ever had a track day where we actually had more non-BMWs there than BMWs. But that's just the way our members are as well nowadays. Moving on, next weekend, Morgan Park doubleheader. Big weekend, Porsche Club hosting. The Saturday event, there's 2 separate events. The Saturday event is the Interclub Challenge round. It's only round 2 now because the previous one got cancelled. So that's amongst all those other clubs that are involved in our Interclub Challenge. Entry through that is on the Porsche Club. Entries are closing for both events on Monday because of the CAMS restrictions. They've got to get all the details of everybody there, not just participants, but flag marshals and everybody has to all go to CAMS beforehand because of the restrictions. So it's closing on Monday. The Sunday is the big day for us as well. That's just us and the Porsche Club. We've been invited by them. We've got our own group. I'm still short. I've got a lot of spaces left, but we're still short by a couple of places just to cover the costs on that. So please think about coming up. Morgan Park is in the top 5 tracks in the country. You know, you probably only put Bathurst, Phillip Island and possibly Eastern Creek ahead of Morgan Park, to be honest. It's one of the best tracks in the country. So it's a rare occasion to get a chance to drive up there. The Sunday is $180 flat rate. You don't have to pay any extra for the timers. The garages are included. There is extra cost on the Saturday. We're covering the cost of your timer on the Saturday, but you'll need, if you want a garage or carport, you have to pay for that. So please encourage some people. I'm hoping that we'll have a skid pan session later in August. But once Joel gets some confirm on that, we'll publicise that. And those are for everybody, not just new drivers, older drivers. They're a great chance to hone your driving skills, make sure that you're aware of how your car controls and what happens when it gets out of shape, and instead of yelling and screaming, realising it's out of shape and learn how to control it. Any questions? Didn't think so. Good.
Good.
Done.
Well done. Thank you, Dennis. Hey.
That was what, 5 subjects?
Yeah.
What, 5 subjects there? Was it 4 subjects as well?
Yeah. You normally got Leanne here cracking the whip.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's not needed.
Yes. Don't say that. Yes. Anyway.
I mean, if they didn't have me to put a stick on, who else would they?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Alex Irvine isn't here, so he can't give us a merchandise report. But we would like to do a new run of polo shirts and T-shirts for the club, and designs, and just refresh that, get something happening. So stay tuned.
Actually, I'm going to add an addendum, Gary.
Yes. So
With the comments on John and John not standing for committee positions, I'm not saying I'm not going to stand. However, I've been looking after motorsport now for 12 years.
And doing a great job.
And I really am in a situation that I need to take some time away from it.
Mhm.
So I really would like some people to come together and put a committee together so we can start passing on all of this, because I'm not going to be around forever, unfortunately.
okay.
So to those out there, please consider getting involved in the other side of motorsport apart from the fun side. Thank you.
Okay. So hopefully everyone heard that. Dennis needs some help. We need some new blood in motorsport. So please, if you can help, give us a shout. Thank you.
Where's all the youth to pick that up, mate?
Yes, they're in there, I think. Hopefully, in Facebook. In Facebook. Quickly, correspondence. We've got a new membership card printer last year, and we have a support agreement with that company to help us get it all going. So we renewed that just recently. And that's all happening. John, Marianne looking after membership and that. Thank you. Hype Creations website maintenance. We signed an agreement with them to look after the website. There's some other correspondence I received from the Red Centre Nats. So if anyone's interested in going to Alice Springs and doing burnouts and flogging their cars in the dust, I've got the information here. So, yeah. That's about all for correspondence, but delegates report. As you may know, there had been planned a nationals next year. Every 2 years, nationals. So 2021 it was planned to have nationals in Canberra. It's been postponed now because of the COVID thing. Again, they just really decided that they just can't take a risk at planning ahead that far and putting the event at jeopardy. So the idea is that they have approached, or they're approaching the motorcycle, BMW Motorcycle Clubs Australia, who are going to have their nationals in 2022, and they're looking at combining the event in Canberra again, so that 2022 the nationals will be both cars and bikes. It's something that BMW have tried to over the years. Right, yeah. So yes, unfortunately that was the decision that was made at Clubs Australia level.
What time of year will that be? Around Easter time?
Yeah, it's normally around Easter time, but you know, there's been some talk about moving it from Easter because Easter tends to be a busy time for families and all sorts of things. So there was talk of moving it around a little bit, but I don't think if it moves from Easter, it'll be that far from Easter. So it'll be in that first sort of third of or first half of the year.
Just on that note too, Gary, I mean, okay, we've got an extra breathing time now, but we probably should start being aware that the following one after that one is due back here.
Okay.
Too far away there.
Well, now it's a bit further away, but you know.
Yeah.
But, no, it's not that way. It's something three. Yeah. Next year.
Yeah.
Three.
Moving on, Clubs Australia has been quite active also. So there's a number of things happening on the Clubs Australia scene. I won't bore you with all the details, but it is there in its entirety in the minutes if you want to read it. But the things that stood out when I looked at it were a Nationals Facebook page. That BMW Group Australia has reconfirmed their commitment to financially support BMW Clubs Australia, and that's always been a little bit sometimes not sure whether we're going to keep that support, and that support comes normally in the forms of prizes for each clubs, for administration and for the nationals. So it is important that we don't have to put our hands in the pocket, and BMW Australia does look after us. Clubs Australia is also talking to BMW Australia about official club members having access to discounted roadside assistance, BMW lifestyle and potential parts discounts on a national basis. We do get some support here locally from Brisbane BMW, which is gratefully appreciated, but on a national level I don't think that happens. There was mention that really for BMW Australia, the only people who should be contacting them are the executive of Clubs Australia. There shouldn't be any need for anyone else to contact BMW Australia directly about club matters. So if anyone does have concerns, come up through the chain and we'll pass on any concerns that you may have. They're also talking about club member vehicle purchases, so that they're constantly talking to BMW Australia about coming up with a scheme. I know that America, which is a completely another world, the Clark Club over there, do have a very strong association with the dealer network in North America. And there's an interesting section here about Takata airbag recall. I will just read this. Somewhat surprisingly, BMW are required to replace the airbags in all cars, including those written off and designated for the scrap heap or unregistered parts vehicle in back paddocks. This also extends to all of you and the members who own race cars or track day cars and have replaced the original steering wheels. So contact BMW and help them clear up the register of affected VINs. So they're talking about, you know, any car that's affected by any of the Takata bag recall notices. There are 2 relevant websites that you can check, recall.bmw.com.au and ismyairbagsafe.com.au. Again, that information is in the minutes if you want to have a look, have a read, if you think that it's of any interest to you. Okay, Clubs Australia, done, perfect. Mario Lamotte brought to mind that Shannon's website has quite an extensive car club component on their Shannon's website. The details on there were incorrect. It had a link to our old club website, so that has been updated. All the information is now present and correct, and I've been dumping lots of videos and photos and things on the Shannon's Club website to help promote the club. So if you're interested, have a look. Also, I've listed here, I have created a Vimeo channel with all the videos that I've created over the time and collected. So it's one of those things, if you want to just have a look at things BMW and things club, it's just there. Again, the link's there.
Can I set a racing on there?
Yes, absolutely, yes. This year's Show of Excellence, we haven't come up with anything yet.
We haven't yet, because really we haven't known.
Yes.
So, will we have it?
Yes.
There's the likelihood we will.
Yes.
Do we have a venue that's sponsoring anything at the moment? No, we don't.
No.
So it's very grey.
So again, I put it out to everyone. If you've got any ideas about, you know, what sort of event to hold, where to hold it, what it might look like, because, you know, obviously we've been fortunate to have RACQ, the Motorfest every year, and it's a lay down Misère, and it's a great spot, gives us fantastic profile, it's convenient, it's fantastic. But, you know, we can do our own event somewhere, whether we combine it with you know, a lunch or a drive or something. I've got absolutely no idea. Put on our own cars and coffee or something. And yeah,
like that. So
yeah,
some of those sort of venues with the
yeah.
historic homes sort of thing. I think
Anyway, again,
We don't even have a McLean's Bridge this year, which we have held it there previously.
Yeah,
Well, but
yeah.
That's not happening either, so.
again, because it would be good to get out and have a look. I also just like to go back, and I don't know if anyone recalls, but at the end of last year, Dennis came up with a fantastic idea to support a charity out at Warwick. So we raised some money over a period of time and donated $3,000 to the Salvation Army in Warwick for buying water. Now, we went up there and presented the cheque to the Salvos for their water appeal, and it was raining. So we broke the drought. So the captain of the Salvation Army sort of leaned across the desk. He said, "Do you mind if we support some other people with this money?" I said, "Well, it's for people who are struggling with water." But anyway, fortunately and nicely, the local newspaper did an article on our visit, and BMW Club. Sorry. Yeah. Yes. So BMW Club rallies up $3,000 to help. So again, that's great. Gives a bit of profile. Love doing that sort of thing. Again, that article is linked in the minutes if you want to have a look and a read. I was contacted by Brian Alderton last night, and he asked if he could put a motion to the club to support a person that he came across. I'll just read that. It's a BMW fan who owns a very nice E90 sedan. However, he's suffering from a terminal respiratory illness. Would it be possible for the BMW Club to give him either free membership or an honorary membership as part of the club's charity work? So, Brian, could I call on you to come up the front and just explain a little bit about your idea? And you know, love to be able to help. You know.
Through my day job, I've come across this gentleman I won't give his name just for
No.
reasons of privacy, but basically he's a big BMW fan, has a very nice black E90 320D, but given the fact that he's been through so much rubbish, as a way of paying back someone that loves BMWs and give the family a bit of a break, I thought we could make him a member for 12 months, just as a way of brightening his day. Now, hopefully we'll be able to get him an event. He may or may not have to have masks. I'll be seeing him next week, and I've got the details to pass on membership secretary if it's approved. But the club does a lot for a lot of people, and it'd be nice just for a fellow car BMW fan that's going through some real tough times to be invited into the club and taken under our wing as much as we can. There's going to be very much limitations, as he does have a respiratory illness. But it'd be nice if this gentleman, we can show this is what this club does. We do track days, we do a lot of drive events. We also look after fellow BMW fans and fellow car nuts. I got to meet him a couple of times, and fortunately COVID's now settled down again to the point where I'll actually catch up with him again next week.
Do you want to make it a motion?
Absolutely.
So-
I'd like to move that we accept this gentleman into the club for a period of 12 months as honorary member, or however the club wishes to phrase it.
Yes.
And send him out, make him a member.
I second that. Everyone in favour? Okay.
I've got
All right.
his-
What
his
we'll do
details.
is
I'll pass on the
we'll
membership
yeah. If you give me his details,
Yep.
we'll contact him.
Yep.
We may try and organise something. The dealer in Toowoomba, I've contacted them and talked to them about possibly doing something with them.
His
So
wife is aware of it, so if they get any information, they're not going to be surprised.
yeah.
It's just going to be a surprise for this particular gentleman.
Okay.
Presentation of his membership card through the dealer in Toowoomba.
Give him a
Did you hear
t-shirt
that?
or a...
Yeah.
Give him a shirt. Give him a shirt.
Perfect.
Done.
Sorry.
Another motion, give him a t-shirt as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Second vote.
Yeah.
T-shirt. Okay. As
Your wife for a week.
You can get away with it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Always wanted a rest.
yeah.
Tell him.
Thank you very much.
It's recorded.
Yes. I- Okay. Look, thank you very much. That's all. Does anyone else have any general business or anything they'd like to bring up and discuss? We'll move on. We've got. Sorry.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
Malcolm Douglas. I've raced a couple of BMWs, and we think we've got about 40 people actively racing BMWs across a variety of clubs. Now, a lot of us race in QTCC, which is rather heavily biased towards V8s, and they won't accept turbo cars, for example. Well, pretty soon we're going to run out of non-turbo cars. It's getting very hard to even buy an E30. So I'm proposing that the BMW Club resurrect racing. I think we could attract another 20 or so members, maybe 30 people that aren't in the club already
Yes.
that would actively race. And we put on BMW only races. I think we could certainly get 30 on the grid. I've spoken to about 15 or 20 people, and they're all quite keen. Now,
Dennis is the way.
Dennis doesn't want to have a bar. He's
No,
quite
I
keen
didn't
on
say
the
that at
idea,
all.
but
As I said to Malcolm, I will support it, promote it, but I'm not in a situation that I can take on running that an extra.
No.
That's a serious
Yeah.
thing. So
Well,
I'm
absolutely,
happy to support
absolutely.
it in every way we can.
Yeah.
But I'm just not in a situation that I can take.
No.
on
Well,
full time. So
just because you do what you do doesn't mean to say you have to do this.
No.
So
But,
it's a
no,
great idea, and we
no,
can find people to do it, and
Yeah.
part of that might be how we're going to support you. So
I'm prepared if you're to start looking for someone that will take that role on.
yes, yeah,
Possibly a non-competitor.
yep,
And I'll also kick in a few thousand towards cooking tracks and so forth.
'cause obviously it's got to be
Next year.
like the QTCC where it won't be, they're not full days, they're just and events at specific lakeside QR events or Morgan Park events where they have a group amongst everything else, like the classics and whatever else. So that's where you're aiming, I'm sure.
Yes, it is. To broaden the range of BMWs that can run. I mean, I think it'd be flat out getting a V8 BMW into QTCC.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
It's up on it.
Yeah.
unfortunately, a few people would just use it for a target if it did.
Yeah.
By all means, that sounds a great idea, and I'll talk to you and get some ideas from you of what that might look like, and then we'll talk to the committee about it and try and come up with something. So if you like to push me and us, by all means, we'd love to look at it, because that's the sort of thing. We want to get people doing. One of my bugbears, one of my big pushes is driver training. I think I would like to see some more simple driver training, racetrack, on the track, that sort of thing. And
There was an unfortunate incident 2 or 3 days ago where a 17-year-old went out on the track for the first time, drove off a new race car.
oh, ouch! Yes. Anyway, that's a perfect segue into safe drive training. So, we're fortunate to have Joel Neilsen here with us tonight. As Dennis introduced before, Joel has in the past done a lot of driver education, driver training, and he runs our the skid pan days that we do. And I had a chat to Joel at our last skid pan day, and he kindly offered to come and talk to us, because there's lots of interesting things happening. There's new tracks. Joel's involved in a track down at Lismore or something like that. So there's lots of stuff going on in the background. So if I can introduce you to Joel, I'll stand aside and let him have a chat to you.
Thanks, Gary. Good evening, everyone. As said, Joel Neilsen. I'm the Managing Director of Safe Drive Training, and 24 years in driver training, 23 countries. My wife's getting a little confused why I'm still in Australia this year. This time last year I'd already been Vanuatu and Papua New Guinea 8 times by this time. So we're well known in Papua New Guinea with our driver training in most of the multinationals over there. What we're most known for locally is our high school defensive driving, which my father as a racing driver started in 1996, and now in our 25th year we've seen 80,000 Year 12 students come and use our cars and do defensive driving with us. With COVID, we're redeveloping our business, as many are, and it's all going as to an e-learning online, which we've been filming and editing so that students will no longer attend a theory part of a day. They'll only come for practical in the cars, and they'll do it all online. And it got me thinking, as I heard the minutes go by there, Gary, that I'll extend an invitation to the club a little bit further down the track, because one of the modules will be take speed off the street. And as a racer myself, and doing the race training we do and stuff like that, we'll be having a segment in that course for young drivers about joining car clubs and where they can legitimately go down the drag strip or to a go-karting or whatever that takes speed off the street. So they realise there's places where you can have fun in a car, not in the industrial park. So when that's a little bit further down, Gary, I'll extend an invitation, given your background, to make a little promotional clip for the club with some skid pan footage and your track day vision, and I'll freely put that linked in my e-learning, and that'll be seen by tens of thousands and God hopes hundreds of thousands of, because we'll be promoting that to every school in Australia, this package. So anyway, a couple of updates for you, because you've met myself or my staff if you've done a skid pan day through the club. And the RACQ's taken over the Mount Cotton Training Centre as of October last year, and slowly changing the management structure through there. And so some positive news, I guess, for us all is, you wouldn't be over their plans, but the plans that they've shared with myself as the major hirer of the venue. There's a hotel planned that's to be a R&D testing centre, because it's now called the RACQ mobility centre of excellence, and it's autonomous car testing, tyre car analysis. It'll have workshops, hoists, dynos, shared internet sort of rooms, breakout rooms for meetings, so that car engineers, after the pandemic obviously, can come in and have the facility and have that, you know, breakout rooms and hoists and whatever, change something and go out and test on their facilities. The skid pan itself, which has some lips and raised edges that we saw at the last skid pan, and I brought that to management's attention. They're getting engineers in and floating all of the concrete slabs on that skid pan to level it out. They're also under liaison with myself and other hirers about change of surface to Russian marble, or because a diesel skid pan's a very ancient skid pan, and internationally where skid pans exist, they're marble surface or something else that's polished concrete or whatever. So pouring diesel there. The joke goes, the Gardens of Remembrance over the downhill across the way is powered by the diesel plume that's underground. The pilot lights very easily there for the crematorium. So there's many plans afoot, and the other good news is we haven't seen noise testing. The noise rules are still the same. I haven't seen draconian noise testing there in the last 6 months. I spent over $10,000 of my own defending the rights of car enthusiasts after Peter's car got removed from the LVMA 3 or 4 years ago for a spin out, and the tyre squeal associated had him booted out the door for spinning out at a driver training centre. So we spent some money getting down onto the noise rules, and the road is often louder than Oh, then, yeah, a new noise policy was planned, and then TMR sold it to RACQ. So they got out of having to change the noise rules that they'd promised my solicitor. So, and one other update is a little birdie told me, I've been in communication with them, but Brisbane Airport Corporation and that racetrack driver training and skid pan there, AP Eagers is currently, because they're the instigator for it, fine-tuning the lease for, so the Brisbane Airport Corporation own the land, are building the track of Mark Scaife's design, and AP Eagers have the first rights on all the land to set up all of the dealerships, sell Breakfast Creek dealerships and move all out there. And so that's still going. Little birdie told me this week that those negotiations are still happening, with the track to open middle of next year is the current plan. AP Eagers won't be there with dealerships that soon, but Brisbane Airport Corporation are handing over the land to a certain standard for the dealerships to then be built, which AP Eagers fund on the leased land. So the track's to be built and the land prepared for the dealerships, and that negotiations are very close to coming to fruition there.
Anything that, because what I originally heard, that there was not a racetrack, but it was going to be made available for club level motorsport.
Yeah, club level motorsport is definitely on the cards, and there's a massive skid pan there, a four-wheel drive facility and a large circuit. Heard no plans of a race meetings being held there.
That's what I was told, it won't be raced.
The original dream is to test drive the cars out the back gate on the circuit. So I guess...
and apparently they're not interested in having anything to do with Motorsport Australia out there either.
All right. Anyway, I'll continue to keep the club informed of what I know, because I don't think it'll be cheap to hire, but 7,000 for Lakeside, it might be similar, who knows. I wanted to come, and I won't keep you too long tonight, I just was talking to some club members at the last skid pan, and I'm a bit of a negative person, because we don't just do we have many facets. My business builds simulators and do security driver training and surveillance driver training, and with these austere times coming and the Northside gang and break and enters, and I just wanted to, I guess, share with the club some tips which you may or may not be all over around protecting your vehicle from carjacking and robbery, break and enter. Sounds like a real negative theme, but it would be terrible to happen to you. Now, if you have a South African background, you could probably leave now because you know all of this. And if you go to Papua New Guinea like me, you definitely switch on when you get off that plane. I've had a few attempts on myself, and that's the nature of the beast up there. So I just wanted to touch on a few things. Where you leave the keys at home, you know, is a very key thing, pun intended, that, you know, easy to break and enter your house, take the keys from that bowl that you have them, and there goes the car. You know, it's such a great car, it's desirable to people, it's desirable to teenagers who get out on bail and, or no, well, slap on the wrist, and back on the street, and all that Northside gang sort of stuff, and other areas where they're filming their exploits and taking advantage of legal loopholes and our crime policies. So key storage is a critical thing. Key storage at home, key storage in the car, because one of my instructors had a shocking event last year, and he lives in Ipswich, so I'm going to take that as read. But pretty good street in Ipswich, and we had a rental Commodore with proximity key. He walked out to the car with a backpack, unlocked the car, or the key was in the pocket, car unlocked in proximity or on his grab of the door, put the bag in, looked up the street, and it was curbside throwout day, so there was a lot of trash and, you know, trash and treasure. And he saw a guy at 6 a.m. up the street in jogging clothes. He walked back in, and it was literally from here to the nearest car away to grab the second bag, and the guy had scampered down, unbeknownst to my instructor Ben, ensconced himself in the driver's seat because the car was now open, and the moment Ben got within proximity, he could start the rental car because the key, he wasn't even, he opened the passenger's door to put the second bag in the car fired up, he grabbed on, "Who are you?" And that guy that was up looking at rubbish a moment ago was now in the car and gone, and he had to jump clear of a speeding car.
Can't keep going even if he's gone past the proximity of the key. And one pertinent point, thanks Dennis, he transferred the key to the second bag when he came back, so yeah. And just because I want to rub it into Avis, we then got charged for the car was stolen for 6 months, they eventually recovered it, destroyed or whatever, but we got charged for the not returning it full of fuel. Brisbane Airport billed us and were adamant we had to pay because the tank of fuel never came back to them. So we ended up having to pay that. And I put it on Facebook and people went, "Well, you always have to return." I said, "I didn't return a car." You should have just gone with the fuel price.
I had to pay for a tank of fuel with no car accompanying it.
Just actually on that, Pete Domro just said to me today that a former club member happened to him just the other day. He got into his house and took their 135 in. Yeah.
So it happens, and so carjacking is such a common thing now in Australia. And if you look at the news, it's every big city every day. It's happening, and it's opportunistic. Often it's criminals known to the police. Polair's been tracking them. They're out of fuel. The car's undrivable anymore. They're just running back fence to back fence, looking for whoever's in a street in a car to take that car off them at force. Or they've crashed their car on the freeway. Good Samaritans are pulling up, and they're running back out of the wrecked car to take over another car to keep going. So keeping the key in the pocket is a good thing to consider doing on your person. Small steps, but you know, you come across an accident. Good Samaritan, you want to help, but being a bit suspicious, why is that? And people, you know, literally, there was the lady who threw the keys across the freeway, but they went and retrieved it and stole that car. And then carjackers who want the car for other reasons, for joyriding and for showing off and that. So breaking into your house is very common. The bump at the traffic lights. So that's a deliberate bump that you think's a rear ender, so you unlock and go back. But that's a deliberate action to get you out of the car, past the security. You're the only thing in their way now. You know, the keys wherever it is, and they've got past the door locks. if someone comes at you in a car, we're all driving soft skin vehicles. Dennis has some former lovers who chase him and he needs armour. But you can't get into a modern car very, if the doors are locked and the windows are up, you know, with the laminated glass, it takes a lot of effort to get into a car. So it's your safe haven. And yeah, it would be the worst thing for your lovely cars to have people raining bricks and fists and, you know, axes or whatever at your car, but they're not at you, they're not attacking you, they're attacking your car, so you can still drive that car away. And if you need to drive it anywhere, safe haven is anywhere with other people and cameras. So a service station, McDonald's is your friend. There's security on call and, you know, you want to go there. So a bump's a very common way to initiate a carjacking. I brought with me, I drive a Toyota 86, and so the fallen number plate is a new common way of stealing your car. Unscrew your number plate at Westfield or wherever, in the shopping centre car park, and especially if it's your personal code that you love and know, your number plate is the key to your car, because they then drive out following you, wait for you to get somewhere, they're on the horn, and the car full of people are going, I've got your number plate, it fell off. And you're like, oh my God, how did it fall off? So you're unlocking for the number plate to recover the number plate. So they unscrew your number plate to get access to your car, because you pull over wanting your number plate back. Just the reminder, you own the code, so the combination. So PPQ will just issue you another number plate, and it's a very small fee. You don't have to buy the whole personalised plate privilege again. It's $65 or something reissue fee. So don't worry about it. You can go to Supercheap or Repco and get one-way screws. They go in, they never come out for your number plate. So they can't unscrew them.
You can buy the screws.
Yep.
The local coppers on Ribey are giving them away.
Are they? Yep.
If you lose your number plate, does that mean there's somebody else out on the road with your number plate?
Yeah, they will for tolls, and yeah, they do. Yep. And they see cars on car sales and that, because car sales is now blanked out the number plate. Used to have to have a photo with the number plate shown. Now it's blanked out because people are using, you know, photocopying up and computer generating a similar number plate to run with. Not so common in Australia, but that's a very common way of stealing a car in other overseas destinations. Tie that, which is trash, on your exhaust pipe or low-hanging rear suspension. You drive out of the car park, you'll stop immediately and get out to see what the hell just fell off your car. And so the loitering nearby are the criminal elements who've planted that and are just waiting for you to stop, because you won't go far hearing that sound. Good Samaritan attack is waving you down, you know, please help me, in a quiet, deserted area. You know, tugs on the heartstrings to keep driving, pull up, windows up, doors locked. I'd start a phone call.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not America, but I'd start a phone call.
Steve A from South Africa talked about
Yeah.
that.
Start a phone call, so when they're coming to your car, at least you're able to start, you know, explaining to whoever's at the other end what's going on and what they look like. And yeah, I've covered all of the main points I wanted to cover. We see in movies when people are attacking us, and so we're talking about physical attack now, and you know, you watch a John Wick or something and people are, you know, out there in the open fighting. If you had to personally defend yourself around a car, especially in a car park, you want to be between cars, because then only one attacker comes at you at a time. So you might give up, and you're best to give up, but I'm just saying, if you are trying to defend yourself against physical assault, between cars is a better place to stand than out where you see in the movies, everyone fighting everyone, because you're going to get hit in the side and in the back, and you know, your legs swept from under you, and what you thought you could do is now gone. If you could stand between two cars, you also got the ability to lay under the cars. Pretty hard to get you out. So, you know, sinister, terrible conversation. But I was talking to someone at the skid pan the other night, and I just thought, she said to me at the skid pan, the wife of one of the drivers, you know, I'm scared to drive it at night for fear of getting attacked. So I just wanted to touch on some of those you know, personal protection strategies. I always lock the doors and lock my windows. It's just how I am, but that's the Papua New Guinea visits in me.
Would you put your hand on the horn if anybody tried?
Yeah, just most definitely, yeah. And the louder you can be.
That's how you drive all the time, see?
Yeah.
Nothing's changed.
No, I tried.
If people are there around your car and you're not meaning to kill anyone, but you know, they're starting to rain fists on your car or whatever implement they've got, you start driving at someone, the car starts bumping into them, you pretty quickly get rid of a whole gang of people around your car because they're getting bumped and pushed and broken legs and ankles.
After 2 road rage incidents, I made the decision that
Oh yeah, sweep them out. Yeah, I mean I teach all the J turns and that myself, but
somebody over, I will do it. But after, as I said, after 2 road rage incidents, I made the decision that I will use the vehicle to defend myself, and if I have to, I'll run somebody over. And I won't think twice about it now.
Done that.
now I'm a Logan resident, and also I hear it's quite common in Townsville. Late at night, hit the pedestrian crossing buzzer, make the lights change, and that gang is just loitering at near the red lights.
You can't see with the light.
And all sorts, but so
I've worked in New Guinea too, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah.
I did 4 years there, I know what
You know.
do.
So, ladies and gents, nice to meet you all. And any last points or questions while I'm?
You got a card?
Sure. I'll give you one. And just a quick plug. Our next, it's contradictory in competition to your Porsche Club thing, but next Saturday we have the skid pan at Mount Cotton, a little bit undersubscribed Saturday afternoon. So there are places on the skid pan available, $154 in your own car. And our next track day at Morgan Park with training available, not forced on you, just available, is what was Exhibition Wednesday, so the 12th of August, which was to be a Brisbane public holiday, but Anna took it off us and gave us the Friday. So we're on the weekday, Wednesday, the 12th of August at Morgan Park for a track day.
And do you have a Facebook page as well? And sort of
All of that, yes.
communicate through
Yep,
there?
yep. Peter.
I was going to say, Joel, it was a really proud moment for me when you brought were the homeless people?
Oh, it was a great thing your club did. It wasn't homeless, they were Life Without Barriers foster children. And your club kindly, yourself and Warwick, kindly strapped them in during your skid pan day and took those young children for some fun rides. Yeah, well, they were doing training with us elsewhere, but we brought them into your day with your blessing. And they were supposed to be there at your skid pan the other day. They Life Without Barriers had that date booked as well.
But I was going to say, yeah, one of the girls, it was like, F yeah, and then at the end it was, thank you, Peter.
It's a little bit risque what I'm about to say, but it just so deeply cut me because I got 2 daughters, teenage daughters, and one girl whispered to me and said, "You know what I would have done to a man to let me do that?" And I was like, "Oh, that just." She lived on the street, and to get her, the thrill she got, she usually would have had to pay favours for. So.
Can I just ask about that, the Lismore track? Did you say that you're helping build?
So I'm a civil engineer, and I designed my dream driving centre for 4 fathers that lost their children in a car crash in Lismore 12 years ago. And that's now been built by community funding and federal government grants. And so there's still a few little legal issues that we're sorting out, and I won't go into. But the one thing that I was thinking of business opportunities for my usage of this venue is a road touring drive to Lismore, because that can take you Rathdowney, Woodinbong Way, or the Numbinbar Valley.
Give him a bit of dirt road, he loves it.
And arrive in Lismore and then do a motorcana or 2 on this training ground and then come back. It's sort of a small circuit. Nothing. It's no bigger than the skid pan sort of thing. Bit bigger than the skid pan, but ability to run braking, swerving, slalom, but a timed event can be.
We used to do those years ago up at Gympie.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, similar to what you would have been able to do at Gympie.
That's something we've been wanting to do, but you know.
I don't think the venue's great enough to have a club day there or a club event there, but to tour in, do one or two things over lunch and then tour away would be better. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. See you at the next meeting.
Okay, well that's about it. Just one other thing I will mention. I brought in a whole stack of magazines tonight. If anyone wants to borrow them or have a look at them, it's pretty amazing. There's all sorts of stuff.
Very much,
But one of the most incredible things, there's a club in Victoria, the Drivers Club, have recently produced their second glossy magazine. I mean, it's just a stunning magazine for a car club. We have not had a magazine in our club for a couple of years now.
About 5.
Sorry?
About 5, I think.
Is it really?
At least
yeah,
4.
it was 2017, I think the last magazine was. Yeah.
Seems longer than that.
But this is really quite over the top. So it's an amazing magazine, and that's their second edition. So if anyone would like to have a look at those, please do. We are currently doing the e-newsletters.
What's it,
Because, the cost of printing a magazine and distributing them is pretty much. So we're just trying these. But what we have been talking about doing is doing an annual glossy magazine like that. Anyway, that's about it. Some of us are going down to Grilled at the Emporium to grab a bite to eat. They've got space put aside for us down there if anyone wants to join us to have something to eat. But thank you very much for coming, and see you on the road. Hopefully at one of our track days or on the 2nd of August for the M Register Run. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks, Gary.